Alright, everybody, welcome back to Final Girl Horror. My name is Chelsea, and today we are talking about Grady Hendrix, Paperbacks from Hell. And every time we talk about a book, the first thing we start with is the cover. I think you can tell a lot about a book by its cover. If a cover is eye-catching, I will pick it up and probably buy it. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not. This has a fabulous cover. I love the embossed foil. Very cool. This one is damaged a little bit because I dropped it outside when I was reading. It's got all these classic paperbacks. Has the French flaps. Killer cover, easily 5 out of 5. I don't know if this comes in hardback. This is the paperback version. So that you'd have to look into. So a lot of you like when I read the synopsis. So here we go. It is on the inside flap. Says, if books could kill, the 1970s and 80s were a glorious time for paperback horror novels. If you enjoy tales of satanic sex cults, homicidal ghost clowns, man-eating slugs, and Nazi leprechauns, don't be afraid. Just hold the hand of horror author Grady Hendrix as he guides you through this forgotten horror fiction boom. With hilarious story recaps, poignant creator biographies, and hundreds of the most awesomely insane book covers ever published. And that pretty much sums up what this book is about. This book is informative. It can be used for research into the horror genre. It says from the 70s and 80s, but he actually talks about how this stuff evolved in the 50s and 60s, into the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. Most of the books covered are from the 70s and 80s. They're the drugstore, like grocery store paperbacks that used to exist. I remember these paperback racks as a kid. Yes, I'm that old. And what he's done is he's followed through time what was going on socially and culturally in the United States and Europe, and how these books became popular, and all these horror writers were writing about what was going on at the time. And so he breaks down every chapter, as you can see here, into the different genres. So you start with like an overarching intro to the history of horror paperbacks, but then he goes into Hail Satan, and he talks about the Satanic Panic and all of these books that dealt with the devil and satanic cults and stuff like that. He talks about in chapter 2 creepy kids, and you learn about stuff about like The Omen and all these books that dealt with all these creepy kids. Chapter 3 is about animals. Chapter 4 is real estate nightmares. He talks about haunted houses and all of the different stories that came about and why they came about when it comes to haunted houses. Then he gets into stuff that deals with weird science. So you get stuff like The Fly and, experiments gone wrong. Then he gets into the gothic and the romantic and like the vampire craze, and he goes into, how Dark Shadows and Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles, took the world by storm. Then he talks about Inhumanoids. He gets into splatterpunk, serial killers. And he goes through all of this, and he shows you all of these classic paperback covers. And classic horror, if you didn't know, has some of the greatest covers in history. Like nothing beats these classic horror novel covers. And so one thing that has come about with reading this book is, as I was reading it, anytime he shows a cover. Now, he talks about way more books in the text, but like, this is the first page. He shows the cover. The Little People by John Christopher. I actually made notes and wrote that down. Then he talks about these 3 books. I wrote those down. And I went through from beginning to end, and I made a list of all the books that he talks about. And so one thing that I'm doing for the channel is I'm trying to buy all these books. Some of them are out of print and they're hard to find. Some are pretty easy to find. I'm definitely going to have to start going to like yard sales, garage sales, estate sales, because some of them I just can't find on eBay or Mercari or used book sites. They're not out there. And it got me thinking about maybe doing a video on how you, the viewers of the channel, could help. And it's not me asking you to buy me anything. I'll go into more detail on that video if I decide to do it. But it's more of you could help me find these books. Like, I could do a video and say, I'm looking for these books. Can you help me find them? And then working out a way to pay you and have you send me the book if I can't find it. I haven't worked out the details on how that would work. If you have any suggestions, put them in the comments below on how I could do that. But this book, if you are into horror novels and you want to learn about the history of horror novels, this is definitely the book. I love this book. This book was it's funny, it's entertaining. The stories he tells are great. I can't imagine the research that was put in to making this book. There's over 300 books just in the pictures of the covers that he shows. That doesn't include the other books that he mentions in the text that covers are not shown. If you're looking for a really cool read on the history of horror novels, especially dealing with the 70s, the 80s, this is definitely the book for you. This is a solid 5 out of 5. Like, I loved it. It was so good. If you've read this book, comment below what you thought about it. Are you a fan of 70s and 80s horror novels? What are some of your favorites? If you read the book, is there stuff that he should have included that he left out? I think I think there are a few that he left out that he should have included. But I mean, you can't include everything. Definitely worth checking out. I will probably read it again sometime in the future. Just an awesome book, full of history. If you like horror novels and you want like a history of horror novels, it's definitely a book to check out. 5 out of 5. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell so you know when new videos come out. I do videos bi-weekly every Saturday at 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. And that's pretty much my schedule for right now until I graduate and get a job. Then I might go to weekly videos. I haven't decided yet. Till next time, read more books.